Hello everybody and welcome to Civ House. I'm Rob and today we are going to be taking a look at the 3 best leaders for Nepal. Now, we want to get this out of the way. Obviously, this is going to be like if you were to happen to go into Nepal during your game for the Modern Age, or if you were to do a starting game from the Modern Age. These are the leaders that we would be picking. You know, sometimes you may not have a choice. It is an interesting way to get to Nepal. You have to have 3 settlements with at least 5 mountains each, or you have to be, or it's just unlocked naturally by the Marian, the Chola, Ashoka, well, either Ashoka. So basically that's how you're going to get them. So let's take a look at these and we're going to decide on the leaders that we think are 3 of the potential best for you to use. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Like if you enjoyed this content, if you find it to be informative, or if you just want to support us, it does mean a lot. Also, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any new Civilization content that we have coming out nearly every single day. Let me know in the comment section below if you think that there is a leader that maybe I missed or one that you think works a little bit better with this one. Nepal is a pretty tough choice, I will be honest with you. It feels like it has a very, very specific play style. We'll go through it here as we kind of get to know Nepal. So its unique ability is Roof of the World. All warehouse buildings apply to mountain tiles, but they cost increased gold and happiness in terms of maintenance. So you are able to place, you know, these buildings in, around, and near, obviously, with the mountain tiles, which is, I think, fantastic. But you do get the increased gold and happiness. Now, I will say that will pay off here. We'll kind of take a look at the reasons why once you get through the cultural tree, but it is a diplomatic and a cultural civ. No surprises there. You got the Sagarmatha. Yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced. Food and science buildings receive adjacency with mountains. Great, no surprises there. And then this one is really interesting. The Sherpa unique scout units, which we'll talk about in a second, can activate an unowned mountain tile within a set number of tiles from one of your settlements. And a path of tiles is claimed back to the settlement, and the mountain tile is improved immediately with a highland power station. Something else that we will talk about. I think that this is very, very, very strong and probably one of the best parts about the kit that we have here for Nepal. The Jimodo, the Jimodo, I don't know. Bagda or Bagha. Wow, I am just totally butchering these. I apologize as always for pronunciations. I'm trying my best. I hope that that's enough. But all districts adjacent to mountain tiles receive defensive fortifications as a one-time effect, so you get to do it once, and I think that that's very good. Units complete fortifications in one turn if they are adjacent to a mountain, so pretty cool. And then you get this tradition of increased combat strength for all units adjacent to a mountain tile. This is increased further if the unit is in your territory. So if you're fighting a defensive battle here, fight next to your mountains. That'll give you your best chance. The Siga Durba, I think I maybe got that one right. We'll see. Unlocks the Bundhath Wonder. Unlocks the Gift Gurkha action, which grants a Gurkha unique infantry unit to another leader with a friendly or helpful relationship. Nepal receives increased relationship with them and additional culture for the current relationship level with them. Tier 2, increased influence on culture buildings, and unlocks the Matri Sanadhi tradition, which means that you get increased influence towards initiating endeavors by a set percentage if you have the fewest settlements. If you don't have the fewest settlements, basically it scales with if you have the most or the least amount of settlements. Then you have the Gorkhapatra. Museums have an additional great work slots, and it unlocks the Himal tradition, which is mountain tiles in your capital receive culture. Mountain tiles in your other settlements receive a smaller amount of increased culture. Now let's get into these unique units here and infrastructure. So you've got the Highland Power Station, which is a unique improvement, and it's like +2 production and +1 culture. It must be built on a mountain tile by a Sherpa unique scout unit. That is important. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Then you have the unique civilian unit, which is the Sherpa. Its movement and sight actions ignore mountain tile penalties. So you can see over mountains, you can go through them with your Sherpa. Very interesting. Your military unit is the Gurkha. It has increased combat strength and movement, but it costs more to train, so it takes the place of line infantry. It is quite strong. And then this wonder is interesting. It's influence based, and it increases your relationship with all leaders, but it must be built on a tropical tile that is adjacent to a mountain tile. So very specific things here. You do have a starting bias of mountains as you transition into this age, obviously, or start, I should say, more accurately. So very interesting. And you can even see from the picture here, like you gotta have a lot of mountains for, I think, Nepal to make sense. I'm sure you guys could probably already guess which one of the leaders that will end up being, but let's hop into the leaders here and we'll kind of explain where we're gonna go. So it took me a little bit. There were a lot of different leaders, obviously, that I thought maybe they could kind of work. There's really only 3, though, that I felt like would actually be really beneficial. And we're going to start with probably a surprise, but Xerxes the Achaemenid. And here's why. You get that +1 trade route limit, which is great. I think that's just something that's naturally good. But then you start really shifting into the culture. So you're going to have these routes, these roads. You're able to build through and around the mountains, I think, a little bit easier, which allows you to kind of maybe make better trade routes. Plus, this civilization is generally focused on culture, so you're getting those plus big culture bonuses. But where I like this as well is you're getting the culture and gold per age on unique buildings and unique improvements. So as you really start to do those power stations, what are they called? Yeah, power stations, the Highland power stations. Those are going to really start to stack, and I think it's going to make Xerxes the Achaemenid a pretty strong choice here. Now, there are limitations to this, but I felt like this will allow you to really lean into the cultural part of this, but it's also going to allow you to have the gold that you need to get your improvements that you need to potentially build up those forces, right, for those extra costs that it takes for your Gurkha. And the hope would be that with all of the Highland power stations that you're going to have, most likely on basically every mountain that you're not using for a warehouse, right, that you will be able to more, I guess, accurately and be able to stack that culture, be able to stack that gold, and really focus hard on the cultural victory legacy path, right? So that's really where I was leaning with this one. You could have convinced me to go with some other ones. This is probably my least confident choice here, to be honest with you. I do think there are some others that could have potentially taken this spot, but I just think Xerxes the Achaemenid is also a pretty strong character in general. So I just felt like, especially if you're playing throughout the game, right, there's a chance that this could work really well, especially like if you're going towards initially kind of that economic victory during the exploration age. You might pick the Chola anyway, so then Nepal kind of has a natural sort of ability for you to kind of make your way through there. So that was really my thinking with this one. I'd be interested to see what you guys think of Xerxes the Achaemenid, but that's the first choice. The second one is going to be one that I don't think we've picked yet while doing these, and it's going to be Benjamin Franklin. So, there's not as much with culture with this one, but you are getting the +1 science per age on production buildings in your cities. So, if you're going to have, again, this is a lot to do with these power stations. That is a production building, at least as far as I can tell. And so you're going to get that science that will allow you to maybe lean a little bit more into the science victory path, which I think wouldn't be too terrible, to be honest with you. You're also getting that production bonus towards it. I know that you don't necessarily need that, but being able to build up on the mountains and then use all this production towards other production buildings that can't be put as warehouses on those buildings, especially during the modern age, I think would still be pretty good overall. Then you're getting the +1 science per age from active endeavors that you have started or supported. You can have 2 endeavors of the same type active at a time. This is where it is for me, is because you are trying to be friendly with people. You have the increased influence towards initiating endeavors by a set percentage, especially if you are, building a much smaller nation, which is what you should probably expect to be doing with Nepal. So it felt like Benjamin Franklin being able to kind of support those endeavors, get the science, again, stacking from the battle station and from the endeavors, and being able to do multiple of those endeavors should really help. And it should allow you to, have kind of that I don't know, that increased level of friendliness with a lot of different, civs and leaders. Being able to also have this wonder very early, right? It gives you that influence, but it also gives you your relationship with everybody else is increased by 20. I feel like this works really well. You're trying to be diplomatic. You're trying to, have good relationships with other people. You're able to send Gurkhas, right, to be able to, I think, fight in these wars, that can kind of keep people maybe away from you. If you do have that one person who is very focused on attacking you, you can have those good relationships with your allies that will come and hopefully help you as well. And it just felt like Benjamin Franklin would work well with this, because you can still kind of trend towards that scientific age victory if you would like to, instead of the cultural age. And if you're playing through the game, it just feels like this would make sense. I really liked it. I wanted to get a, civ that I thought worked well with Benjamin Franklin. And this seems to be a good one, in my opinion. Again, there's some other ones that I think with their diplomatic stuff you could potentially do. I really didn't like, either of the Ashokas for this, and it felt like Benjamin Franklin maybe just fit a little bit better. All right, we're on to number 1. And yes, there's no doubt it was going to be Pachacuti. How could it be anybody else? He's getting, buildings gain a food adjacency for mountains. He is the mountain king, as you guys can see right here. He's got specialists with adjacency bonuses to mountains, like not costing you happiness and maintenance. So that's kind of going to offset, being able to build these warehouses and other things for that extra gold, that extra maintenance and happiness as well. So you're able to kind of stack those food bonuses. And if you are playing through to the modern age, right, this civ seems to fit perfectly with Pachacuti and is the one that you should probably want. And if you're going to hit, right, this have 3 settlements with at least 5 mountains each, this is kind of your end game civ for Pachacuti, right? You may not naturally unlock it through being Marian or through being the Chola as you're playing through the game with Pachacuti. They don't necessarily mix super duper well. They can, obviously, but it just feels like it's better for you to, you'll have the 3 settlements around the mountains. You're naturally going to unlock it, and it feels like it's a really good civ for you to kind of work your way into. You'll be able to, work across all the mountains, right? You'll be able to build your warehouses on the mountains. So I really personally think that there's no doubt in my mind that this civ basically feels like it was meant for the modern age, for Pachacuti, and is going to give Pachacuti players kind of that ability, right, to work their way through the game and have a nice end game civ if you started in Antiquity. And even if you haven't, this one's still very good. You can easily play Pachacuti, during this time period if you just go to the modern age. There's just not a better choice in my mind. You're going to be getting crazy yields. I've already seen people on Reddit starting to talk about some of the crazy yields that you're able to get, with Nepal. So I feel like Pachacuti fits with that very well and is my number 1 choice. And I don't think there was going to be ever any other leader that was going to be number 1. But if you have one that may be better than Pachacuti, I would love to hear that. Make sure to let us know in the comment section below. But that is going to wrap it up for us on this video. So from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and we hope you'll join us for one more turn.